Welcome everyone to the Chompcast, the official podcast of Swordchomp. Thank you for downloading or streaming our podcast, taking some time out of your busy life to listen to us. My name is Morgan Barnes. I'll be your host today. I'm podcasting from Montana, and I am joined by my good friends and fellow co-hosts. Quick introductions from North Carolina, Mr. Joshua Fowler.
Hey everybody!
And from the Japanese nation, Shea Layton.
Hello there.
You're supposed to go with Goofy. We're doing a thing here.
I can't do it.
Thank you.
You get points for trying.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make fish from Texas channel Donald Duck, Anthony Fisher.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. Holy fuck.
That was good. That was really good.
We should have traded.
I mean, I like the idea of some like really depraved Disney characters hosting a podcast, but I don't know how we got on this whole Disney thing. So we'll roll with it.
Kingdom Hearts is coming out.
Yeah, no, it's not. Not really.
Just roll with that.
Yeah, at some point in the future, there will be a Kingdom Hearts game, so it's appropriate. But we got an epic show today. Topics include our favorite downloadable content packs of all time, or DLC, inspired by the new Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC announcement, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We have a listener-inspired topic. Our good friend Ectological tagged us on Instagram last night and was basically asking us, has there ever been something like a scene or a moment in a video game that just struck a nerve with you for whatever reason? And he had basically screenshot a moment from Metro last night. That was a very sad moment we'll talk about later. So inspired that topic. A moment or scene in a video game that just struck a nerve with us and why. And of course, we have a bunch of cool games to talk about. That's why we have less topics this week. We all played the Prey demo. We got some Nier talk. Nier Automata. Wait, how do you pronounce that fish? Automata? I can never say it right. Nier
Automata.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. Nier Hakuna Matata. Back on the Disney thing.
There ain't no worries.
Keep going.
For the rest of our lives.
No, You don't even know the fucking words. What the fuck just happened? Did you do that on purpose, Fish, or do you really not know the words?
I didn't have much of to go off of, I guess.
For the rest
And Fish
of our
has
days.
a child. He has a child, and he
okay.
doesn't know this.
I thought it was for the rest of our lives.
Do we need to call?
This is concerning, Fish.
she-
No,
Yes,
no,
sir.
you're right. Okay.
It's our problem-free philosophy. No one's
What
gonna
have I done?
Nier Automata.
That's our podcast philosophy.
Good night, everybody.
We're done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm sure Fish probably wants to shove some Guardians of the Galaxy 2 down our fucking throats, so let's get ready for that.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't want you guys to gag.
You don't, or you do?
I don't.
Okay. It's very considerate of you. But I know you're all about your Guardians of the Galaxy movie night with the family last night, so I'm sure we'll hear all about it later. But, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. It should be a cool show. So, I mean, like, the first topic that, when I was thinking about topics this week, that came up, when I saw the Legend of Zelda DLC news, it really got me thinking about, like, downloadable content or DLC in general, because I don't know about you guys, but I've never really been a big DLC guy, and I think it's mostly because when I'm really addicted to a game, I, like, just purge it out of my system, and then I'm done. And then at that point, a couple months later, maybe 6 months later, when they announced the DLC, I'm kind of not in that game zone anymore. I'm out of that video game mindset for whatever that video game was. So it always feels a little weird to throw like $15 or $20 down and try and jump back into it. But having said that, I thought it'd be a cool topic because we get to see what kind of DLC makes you guys want to throw down your hard-earned money, and sort of like what's the best DLC that you guys sort of remember over the course of your gaming existences, so to speak. So I thought this would be a cool topic, and then afterwards I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Zelda DLC, because I'm sure Josh is excited for that. And yes, and Shea just messaged me and said to make sure that we mention that we have an email to go over with Clark. One of our listeners emailed us, so we have a cool email that actually kind of goes full circle with a topic I wanted to talk to you guys about for the next show. So it's perfect. So thank you, Clark. And of course, Shea wanted me to mention that we've got some mobile game discussion. We have a really cool mobile game back and forth between Shea and Fish. So we'll get to all that later. But yeah, so DLC. I want to know where you guys stand on sort of your favorite downloadable content experiences of your life, because that's a new thing, right? I mean, when we were kids, a game was pretty much done, and that was the game you had. And we started to evolve into this modern world where, you could just, games were being changed and evolved, something like a Destiny where they keep adjusting it. And they were, adding DLC instead of just going straight into working on a sequel. So, how about you, Fish? I mean, when I mentioned this this whole DLC thing, what was like the DLC that came to mind for you?
It was tough because a lot of my gaming back in the day was PC gaming. And like online MMOs, playing mainly like EverQuest and World of Warcraft. Those expansions that came out, while you did pay for them, they are pretty big, and they were never referred to as DLC. And like me and Josh were actually talking about this previously, but both me and him kind of agree that those expansions are almost like full-fledged video game at that point, not really DLC.
Yeah, that's tricky. Expansion packs they were like charging full price or pretty close to it for a lot of those. So
yeah, like EverQuest, like you could get the game for $30 and get like all the way up to whatever expansion you're at, but then any next expansions that come out, it's like $30 as well. Yeah, they're pretty hefty, but
Cataclysm and all those crazy things. Yeah, that's a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah. But those expansions were so huge coming out, and there's so much hype around it because all your online friends are all waiting for the expansion, and once it drops, you all want to experience the content together, and it's always fun. But I wouldn't consider those DLC, I guess, because DLC I believe actually was born from the console, and I think that they started doing DLC back in like the 360 days.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the first DLC. Like, what is the first DLC packs you guys even remember? I don't.
They came out with like a Mass Effect DLC, but I'm trying to think if Gears of War did that.
God, way back there. But yeah, anyways, consoles is really where it came into fruition, because with a lot of those PC games you're talking about, Fish, that's a good point, because they kind of a lot of those people were still playing those games, especially like a World of Warcraft, when all the way up until when those expansions would drop, as opposed to like if you're playing a console game for a month or two and then you move on to something else and then maybe come back to it when the DLC drop.
Right. But I decided to go with some sort of console game, I guess. And that would probably be Destiny's The Taken King.
I don't know, man. We might have to have like a tribunal here. That's almost like expansion packy.
It is, yeah. That game kind of, or that DLC. I guess they call them expansions. Actually, don't they call them expansions?
What would you consider?
They do call them expansion packs.
Well,
but I feel like we should just let them have it, because
it's fun.
Destiny.
We're just having fun anyway.
I would say that.
If he wants to break the rules, that's fine.
They changed up how they actually told the story in that game, and introduced a whole new area, the Dreadnought, which was fascinating to actually go through. And they kind of catered to, I guess, the fans, and listened very closely to them to create something that spoke more to the fans than what the original Destiny came out with. Yeah, everything they added in there just seemed like they ratcheted it up just a notch. Not quite a bit to where it alienated people, but it's just enough, to keep like the hardcore satisfied with like the new raid and big long quests, but adding like new quest lines to get weapons was something that wasn't really done
Hmm.
previous to that. I think the only other way that you got um, the exotics was getting a slight chance of getting one of those exotic quests from turning in your bounties at the end of the day after doing
Oh
them all.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
like getting the thorn or bad juju.
Like actually getting a quest to go, actually getting a bounty or a quest to seek out a specific kind of gun was pretty satisfying.
Yeah, it was.
How do
Yeah,
you feel
and
about the original, like the real DLC for Destiny? Like the House of Wolves, that was one of them, right? And then the first one, the something of Crota. Fuck, it's been a long time. This is embarrassing. Come on, Fish, you know these.
Crota's End, I think.
Yeah, well, that was the raid, right? But the first two
Oh,
Destiny
yeah.
actually did have DLC. They were like $15. It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
3 hours. A couple new multiplayer maps, stuff like that.
Yeah, the Dark Below.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I didn't like those, to be
Okay.
honest. Like, I feel like those two expansions specifically just were reusing assets and actual zones that were in the game, and just like playing them essentially backward, which is almost ridiculous. Think about it. It's like,
Almost.
oh, you remember this zone? What would happen if you went through it backwards? You start from the end and you go to the beginning, like, and that's what they did. It was very cheesy to me. Like, it just seems so lazy of them to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Fish. Josh just messaged us. He was like, "Why does all the Destiny DLC sound like amateur porn titles?" The Dark Below, the House of Wolves. That's great.
Oh,
Crota's End. Wow.
you gotta
Um,
fight that. You gotta fight the end there. Brothers.
oh man. Um, but no, yeah, that's true. I mean, like, can you imagine that board meeting? All right, guys, I got a great idea for the DLC for Destiny. Take the levels we've already built. Now imagine this backwards. Oh my god. Great job, Ted. Let's do it. I just
Yeah, it just feels like there's no creativity there when they were doing that.
But back to your earlier point, the expansion for Year 2 Destiny, the Taken King, that was like the ultimate DLC or expansion pack for you.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to add in those PC games though. Uh, mainly EverQuest. Like EverQuest,
Oh,
it
okay.
was like the first game that like I actually went out and bought the expansions for, and each expansion I would get just because I wanted to play with my friends and experience the new content and everything.
Well, it was so much more than
Um,
an expansion pack for you. It was like another chapter in your life. Your
Pretty
your
much.
your fake
Yeah,
life.
those expansions had quite a bit of content there for you to play through, and it would take up months of your life at that time,
Hmm.
especially if you were in a raiding guild that was into all the higher end type of stuff.
Give me
Yeah,
give me a
because
name. Give me a specific EverQuest expansion that you have good memories of.
oh, Planes of Power,
Planes of Power. Okay.
Planes of Power, yeah.
Why Planes of Power?
Well, in the game, like you have all these deities that you choose to worship
Hmm.
whenever you're creating your character, and uh, previous to Planes of Power, they only had like two or three, or no, they had about a handful of the deities that you could go to their plane, and they were
Hmm.
high end raiding areas and very tough to do. Like you had to have like 80 people just to break into the zone because there was enemies just spawned all over the place, roaming the area, and yeah, you needed 80 players to just jump into the zone and break into the plane, and then start
Jesus.
clearing it out, and then yeah, you would kill the deity in there and get your loot, of course. But Planes of Power changed it up slightly, where you actually went to their these planes. There was like a plane of pain and plane of sorrow, agony, which was all inveined with forgot the name of the deity, but they have plane of justice,
Hmm.
plane of nightmare, like all sorts of
Hmm.
different places, and they usually have like a higher end boss at the end of these planes that you would try and get to, and it was very rewarding, and that's actually whenever